I want to call this meeting to order. Today is Tuesday, August the 12th, 2014, and the time is approximately 9:45 a.m. I am calling to order a meeting of the East Cleveland Land Bank Neighborhood Advisory Committee. We do have 4 out of 4 of the members present, so we do have a quorum. I will be calling the roll and then the first docket on the agenda. We have Travell Hart.
Here.
Hank Smith.
Present.
James Pope.
Here.
And Lionel Lewis.
Present.
And the first docket on the agenda is docket number 2008-2014, N.O.A.H Hill. He is here in reference to 1894 Charles. And again, the applicant is requesting to purchase a residential vacant lot which abuts his owner-occupied dwelling for yard expansion. Mr. Hill, you want to come to the table, please?
Yes, so do you want to tell us a little bit about the property that you want to buy, or what you plan to do?
Only thing I plan on doing is just cleaning it up. I'm not doing nothing on it. I'm not going to fix it in. I just want to make the terrace look a lot better.
Okay. As long as it doesn't fit the neighbor next door.
It does not fit the neighbor next door qualifications. Mr. Hill had to go through the process in order to appraise it.
Does anyone else want to comment on this?
A lot of children explain that.
It definitely does.
Yeah.
Well, this doesn't abut your property. This is like across the street.
No, right, my backyard.
Oh, the back.
Yeah.
It's behind the property. Okay.
Who was your appraiser?
I can't think of the name.
Donald Durow was the appraiser.
How much was the appraised for?
The value of the land he appraised at $50.
And how much you have to pay for the appraisal?
$300.
You have to pay that up front or
Yes.
half down, half in term?
All right.
All up front.
And once you get the property, you're gonna maintain it.
Yes. Yes.
You contemplate on putting any kind of a shrubbery or landscaping with in it other than just cutting the grass?
Well, I was going to make a shrine. My mom passed away.
What?
My mother. Excuse me. My mother had passed away. She was with me when I bought the house. She told me to get the house. And she loved it. And she had cancer. And I knew, time was coming. I said, if I get that line, I said, clean it up. Make a nice little shrine. I apologize.
So it would become a
Take a
part
chair
of
over there.
your adjacent property to
I mean, I think if it made it to this point, the city doesn't have an interest in it, and I mean, a part of this thing is part of this whole process. I think is put in the hands of people who actually want to do something with it. And so, I mean, are there any other questions? Well, I'd like to put it out there, a motion to recommend the city council that this part of be awarded to Mr. Hill at the appraised value.
Sir.
Any more discussion?
No.
Call for the roll.
Travell Hart.
Yeah?
Hank Smith.
Yes.
James Pope.
yes.
Lionel Lewis.
Yes.
Okay. Is there any other public comments on this particular docket? Okay. Mr. Hill will be in contact with you. You still have to go in front of city council.
Yes, thank you.
Thanks, thanks, Mr. Hill.
That's good. Excuse me.
There we go.
Oh, this on the opposite side. And this is on the opposite side of this.
Guys are ready. Our next docket on the agenda is docket number 2009-2014. The applicant Norma King has applied for four parcels on Deborah Ann Lee. Those parcels are 1724, 1726, 1734, and 1738. The applicant is requesting to purchase 4 residential lots which abuts the owner-occupied dwelling for yard expansion, and I believe we have a representative here on behalf of Norma King to come up and state your name for the record.
My name is Norm King.
Would you like to sort of like explain what you want to do with the lots?
We're going to do it for yard expansion. Yard expansion of the lot.
Somebody, do you have any perspective with this?
I can state that the applicant has purchased 4 appraisals, and we do have those appraised values. Those appraised values for the lot at 1724 Deborah Ann, the appraised value came back at $350. For 1726, the appraised value was $400. For 1734, the appraised value came back at $375. For 1738, the appraised value came back at $400.
Any other comment from the committee? I know that. Yeah, go ahead.
Is this the property that's direct across from the existing?
It's in the backside.
Oh, it's in the backyard.
Here's the direct.
Okay, that's the backyard. All right.
So is that the terrace?
That's the back lot of the
This is the back lot. So where's this residence, this terrace here?
That's
So
Elsinore.
That's the inside elsewhere, yeah.
Yeah, so here's the map right here. So their backyard is pretty much is what they want to expand their backyard to.
Like directly
Okay,
behind.
oh, there it is, right here.
So their homes are on one side on Elsinore, and then the lots are right behind it.
What about this lot right here?
That lot in the middle
Yeah.
is currently privately owned. It's not owned by the city.
Okay.
So this is all adjacent to, is this the town, is this the house here?
Yeah, row houses, yes.
Oh, the row house. So it's adjacent to the existing lots.
Yes.
Behind it, this is the row house.
Yeah, that's the row house.
This is the lots.
So each one of the lots are adjacent to that row house parcel.
Right. So they essentially want to just expand their
They
backyard.
expand it this way.
Yeah.
So either way, your property touches that.
Yes, it does.
Okay. So in other words, there's no skip over.
So skip over, it's directly next, behind it.
The only property that we can't,
City had no jurisdiction.
is that one right in the middle, which I think they're probably going to be acquiring. I guess whatever entity that owns that, or private owner that owns that, they get that. But they essentially, these row houses, they want to extend their backyard out.
Okay, so the next question I would have is that, based on the ordinance, which city council has outlined that adjacent properties next to your property, and long as it's continued, in other words, it's not a couple houses over, does it meet that criteria?
No, this doesn't meet the date.
Neighbor next door, it's land bank.
Pardon?
Two different ordinance. You're referring to neighbor next door,
Okay.
we're not here for neighbor next
Okay.
door.
Oh, you're not? Okay, this is land.
Land bank, yes.
I rest my case.
So, I mean, the city hasn't shown any interest in that land at all? Obviously because it's here, right?
And not to my knowledge, we have owned these 4 parcels since 2011.
Has there been any other interested party? Anybody made any bids?
Not to my knowledge, I don't have any pending application.
We can't speak until public comment, is that correct?
Pardon me?
We cannot speak until public comment, is that correct?
At the end,
Okay. Because there is no one that has additional interest in that property.
You're not here, are they?
Yes.
Stay up.
So you got that first.
you want to entertain comments from the public? I guess we'll start with you, Mr. Bug.
Okay, my building is 1720 Deborah. That would be right next to 1724. As a matter of fact, we have a common driveway. And I've been cutting that grass. As a matter of fact, I even put a bid in here, a proposal with N.O.A.H when she was here. And I mentioned that before. I don't know whatever became of it, but she's no longer here. But I'm definitely interested in that lot that I've been maintaining on both sides, on both sides of 1724. 02, 03, 02 is not available because it's under someone else's ownership, but it's still a lot which I still maintain, as well as 04. So
I'm trying to identify which two he's talking about.
My parcel 1720 and 724?
1720,
Oh, you own 1720?
I own 1720. 1724 is right beside me.
So you're trying to acquire 1724
To acquire
or two of them?
1724.
Just the one?
Well,
Does he have,
the
The
one on the
other
other
lot
side is
isn't
not
owned
available.
by the city.
does he have a request then?
I don't have any documentation.
I put in a
But
request
He did
with
say
Bill
he did
Knight.
put in the app with
She
them,
retired last year, what, 2 years ago?
September. Of last
Two.
I have a question there. Do you have a copy of that?
I'm sure I can find a copy.
And so the one that you're interested in right now is in the 1724?
Yes, that would be 04. 1724-04. Share common drive.
And that's the one you'd already put the application in
Yes,
for?
sir.
What year was that?
That was, matter of fact, I went to a meeting at the Martin Luther King. I think this one had to be about maybe 2 years ago, when the property first came from the county, because the county had the property, because I was calling the county, and they still have a sign up there that says this belongs to the county. And now, I was totally unaware when they just put that sign up there last year, because they came and cut that yard about once or twice. And I've been maintaining that yard ever since. And the sign is still out there that says this is
Let me ask you
county
another
property.
question. Do you currently have an easement on that lot to get in, access on that block adjacent to yours? Do you have an easement at all in the deed that you know?
There is an easement in the
There's an
deed.
easement?
There is an easement in
So your driveway matches the driveway at
It's one
1724?
drive.
Just one driveway?
the deed. That's correct.
Actually, this one qualifies for the neighbor next door.
This property, let me look at the yard. I don't have that lot size, so I wouldn't be able to answer that.
And what happened back in the past when you submitted that it didn't go through?
As a matter of fact, through my conversation with Bill Knight, I was under the impression that this was a buildable lot as opposed to a non-buildable lot because it was over the size of whatever.
No.
'Cause I certainly had this conversation. And therefore, it was not available for the dollar amount that the other properties were available. So So I made a proposal for $400 for that lot.
And what happened that it didn't go through?
Well, she's no longer here. And I spoke with her.
What, 2 years ago then?
Man, I
No, what I'm
understand,
asking-
I
what I'm asking-
understand who
yeah.
you're representing.
Yeah.
But anyway, you know, I'm definitely in definite opposition to what you're doing here. But anyway, I had that conversation prior about Velma Knight leaving.
So I do have 2 questions. One, I don't know what you're referring to as far as who I'm representing. So I,
Seems apparent to everybody in the room that you go ahead.
okay. But the question I have is what happened in the process when Thelma Knight was here 2 years ago? When you,
Well, she was the one that told me to place it there.
but what I'm saying is why didn't you go through the process?
I have no idea.
Okay, so I guess what I would say is it seems like the only interest property is the, or there's other properties?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, let me just finish this one up. You submitted an application to Velma Knight,
The proposal, yes.
and you submitted the proposal. Was there ever any acknowledgement or a date was ever set for a hearing or anything happened after that point at all?
No, I had a few conversations with her. As a matter of fact, it was during the time that this became a part of the East Cleveland Land Bank, because prior to that it was part of the county land bank.
All right.
But as soon as it became part of the East Cleveland, that's when I put in the proposal.
So my next question was, when this matter came up, as you became aware of it and learned that it was going to take place today, knowing that, wouldn't it behoove you have at least brought to the table prima facie evidence of your copy, at least that you submitted it?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Yes, sir.
that to me would probably have been at least in order, because
Okay.
this way we'll deal in abstract.
Okay.
And if you had prima facie evidence, whether it was valid or invalid, at least we'd have some place to start to investigate. But at this point, we don't have anything until you put something on the table.
Okay. All right.
Additionally, the East Cleveland Public Library, these lots abut our parking lot as well, so we definitely have interest in the property.
And which one?
And I have a few other questions, but right now, just as far as state, I believe, I'm not really certain on the lots because this just came to our knowledge several days ago, and I need to do far more research indeed.
My point is like,
The East Cleveland Public Library did not even get a copy of the notice. It was given to us from another source. It didn't even come to the library. So I was real concerned about that first. But once we learned of it, we've had an opportunity to meet with the Finance Committee to look at just this document and to also ride around and to look at the properties. I did not have the lot numbers, of course. Now, we too have cleaned the lot. Our custodians have been out, cut the grass, picked up paper, etc. And being a good neighbor for the neighborhood, we've tried our best to help keep those lots clean. We are now very much interested in these vacant lots. To expand our parking lot, as you know, the East Cleveland Public Library is quite an asset to the city of East Cleveland. And you see our small parking lot, that's first. Second, when we have major events there, we've even used those lots and cleaned those lots up for that purpose as well. So we definitely have a vested interest in those lots on Deborah Ann Lane.
I'm sorry, can you state your name?
My name is Mary E. Rice. I'm a member of the Board of Trustees for the East Cleveland Public Library. And we want to keep our library an asset to the city of East Cleveland. And those lots would help us to do that as well.
Do you have a real estate person that's responsible for the real estate transaction with the library as far as consultant?
At this time, not a real estate person.
Or any person that would be
Building
interested in
and
it.
Grounds chairperson is Charles E. Bibb, Senior, who is a part of the Board of Trustees of the East Cleveland Public Library.
And these
yes.
lots have been vacant for how long?
These lots I've been on the board for over a year. They've been vacant that long, I know. We've been cleaning it up that long, I
Did
know.
anyone look down the road and visualize expansion or anything and check with the county and kind of chart this thing and follow it through?
We just began that process, as I said, it's a new board, and we just beginning that process to look. And I was surprised, we've just discussed those empty lots and inquiring about those lots, and then the next thing we know, this is coming up. Like I said, I haven't been on the board that long, and this just came up very recently, acquiring additional properties. We're not only looking at that property there, but also looking at the other properties where they are close to the library that have some concerns as well. So yes, immediately, since it's a new board, and since we've gotten together and looked at the vision where we want to take the East Cleveland Public Library, we began to look at those lots. And simply because people knew of our interest that we received this. We didn't get it from any other source other than people who are aware and have been coming to the East Cleveland Public Library Board meetings and knew that we were concerned and had discussed in meetings those lots and some things that we wanted to do with them, that we received it.
So at any time was those lots made aware of on the table?
We don't actually send out a list of all the properties we own, but it is required that the adjacent owners of those lots be notified. I wasn't aware that the notice wasn't dropped out to the library, but our ordinance states the adjacent property. The only thing adjacent was Mr. Bud's property, but we did send out maybe 10 to 15 letters in the neighborhood. I wasn't aware that the library didn't.
We didn't, and thank God, one of the people who knew had been to one of our meetings and knew we were talking about those lots came over and brought it to us, so we were very thankful and appreciative of that.
Any other comments from the floor?
Yeah, Clive. The lady, if you're on the library, how long you been on the library board, Mrs. Rice?
Dr. Rice, I've been on there. I've been on there a year.
And didn't the library buy some parcel already? Did you buy some parcel in the back of the library already?
If they did, it was before my time on.
Okay. But do you have any documentation saying you want to buy the property then?
No, I don't. I didn't bring anything with me, not at this time. And any other questions you have? Because I have a few.
No, that's it. Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
talking to you.
I was concerned. I took a look around the row houses that you're speaking of. You gave the address of 1735.
That's correct.
And that's 1735. That's the person who lives there.
That's the person who lives there?
The person who lives there.
We own the property.
You own that whole row of row houses. That's what I wanted to know. Thank you.
Any other comment?
I got a comment.
Thank you,
Brandon King. If all we ever do is all we ever done, it's insane. Right? We looking at parcels, properties, right? And if every time we come before you to get a property, and then people come out of the woodwork, they say, we should move the city forward, we should do nothing. Come on, these properties have been sitting there, right? We all know the challenges. Excuse me, I said, we all know the challenges our library system has been facing. We've closed 2 branches, right? We had to close that one for a matter of time to save money, right? The library has expanded. The library has added additional parking. Library services, library things are down, right? Talking to a previous library board, the next thing they would like to do is to open another branch, not expand that library. So we want this property to expand ours, like the gentleman on the docket before, to expand it behind, right? We own all the properties on the other side that cover the whole lot. And then
Chris,
like,
so real quickly before you say you talked to some other board members for the library.
Previous board members, and what they are saying the library would like to do next is to open up another branch, not to expand. Remember, we almost lost the library to the county. They had that discussion. So now, all of a sudden, the library is looking to expand? Okay, maybe they are.
Any other comment from the board?
no, I just would like to ask one question. Since I see what's going around, do you all, when property in the land bank is there, when people start acquiring about it, do y'all let the city know if anybody else is interested in that property, so that they can put in a bid if they are? You know, this
Once we get the application, the land bank staff reviews them and make a recommendation to the neighborhood advisory committee.
yeah, but do they let the peoples know if there anybody else
If-
interested in it?
If there's a proposal that has been accepted through the land bank staff, we'll send out letters to the adjacent property owners, letting you know that there is an applicant with a proposal on the table.
Oh, in other words, it just doesn't go to the whole city, it just
No.
goes to the adjacent property, okay?
Correct.
You know, that's what I was interested in, because if there was a property and some of these people own the other property, on the other side or whatever, as long as they know about it, and they have an opportunity to put in a bid for it, that's what my concern is.
I would like to comment on his concern, and that's a great concern, sir, right? The land bank list is up and running. The land bank list has been up and running. These properties have been in the land bank for years, right? We submit a proposal, we pay for the appraisals, and now everyone wants the properties?
Wait a minute, here's another thing that my concern is this. When people are involved in the government, whatever's happening, they have an inside track on proposals that probably is coming. And they can get the property at that price. And later
It's
on,
public pricing, though.
Huh?
I mean, we couldn't get it no
I'm
cheaper
just,
than-
when I finish, brother, you
go
talk,
ahead,
okay?
Go ahead, brother.
That's what I'm saying. When you're involved in the government, you have knowledge of knowing maybe 10 years of some proposals that are gonna come up, that you can get the inside track and get the property, then later on that you can sell and make money off of it. This is my concern, you know.
Are you looking to buy some parcels?
Huh?
Are you looking to buy
I
some?
wouldn't buy nothing in East Cleveland, no more.
Oh, did it?
Okay. If I knew something was coming, I would buy it. So that 4 or 5 years ago, I mean, if you involved in government, something that you should know,
But
that
yeah,
people
but-
done that, even with the library board, the school board,
Is this public comment?
you know. So don't tell me that. I have a little knowledge, brother.
Yeah, but your point is valid. I just want to make a comment that if the parcels are on the parcel list on public record, then if you have an interest at any point in time, you should go
Excuse
search.
me, point of order. Excuse me.
Who are you, man? Wait a minute. You come here.
I have you removed.
You have it removed then.
Have them removed how?
How the hell you gonna come in here and start running a business? If you gonna run the business, you get up there to the
On
head.
the agenda,
Yeah,
2009,
what you talking about?
2014,
He'll have you
there has
removed.
been some discussion
So
about
what?
the NAC.
You said he'll
The
have you
NAC
removed.
has asked for
Go
public
ahead.
comment.
Okay, so they're asking for public comment now. Before or after the,
Who is it?
The
I mean, what you
disposition.
coming in? What's your problem?
No disposition has been made. They wanted to get the public comment before the disposition.
thank you.
She running the meeting, man. How you gonna come in here and run a
All right,
meeting?
all right, we're not gonna get in, so just go ahead and finish your comment.
Huh?
Go ahead and finish your
I
comment.
finished my comment. What I'm saying is, how somebody can walk in here if somebody else sharing the meeting, to show no respect for what's going on, they gonna take over the meeting. You should be sitting up at the head of the table now. Shit.
Okay, just wanna-
No, my.
Hold on. All right, so I just want to just say one thing, because I think there's a lot of misconstrued things about a lot of things that happen here at the Neighborhood Advisory Committee. Number one, I mean, I think one of the biggest sort of like fears that people have in community, including all the constituents that are around this table that came to this meeting, Mr. Struthers and that kind of thing, is around redevelopment and around like actual everyday people within community actually having access to grow and benefit from the economic development of the city. Everybody's afraid of like the institutions outside coming in and taking over. But this is an opportunity for us to look at and review parcels and give people who are in the community the opportunity to expand and invest in this community themselves and that kind of stuff. The same opportunity that will be available to anybody else or any other outside institution coming. And so I guess what I'm sort of like feeling within the room, even with some of the spirit that some of the other people are coming in the room with, is that like the very thing that we're doing at this table right now, it's like as soon as one person comes up and say they want something, everybody comes around, that kind of thing. And I get that. Everybody has a right to say, okay, if they want this or not, that kind of thing. But like the purpose of this is not to bicker and fight, but to actually do honest and fair business in the city. And then that's what we intend to do. And not only that, but like to make sure, wait a minute, because I'm not done. And to make sure that people have opportunity to actually be able to invest in our community and everything. So that's what this is about. This is not about any type of sides. And not only that, but like there's another sort of like thing that I think that's in the air, and I'm glad that you got this on tape so we could just say it and everything. There's this whole notion that like if you're a public official, that you cannot partake of the goods and services that the city offers, and that is not true. It is not true morally, it's not true ethically, and it's not true. I mean, we actually went to the board of what do you call it,
Ethics,
the Ohio Ethics Commission, and actually got an opinion around this. Any public official has the right to pursue and engage and benefit from any services or benefit that this city has offered, just like anybody else, as long as they go through the same process that anybody else goes through. And so I want to put that out on the table because, I mean, what's happening is that like we're going to make a fair decision about what goes on with these properties and that kind of stuff. We're going to make sure that it's a win-win for everybody. I'm not here to favor anybody, neither is anybody else on this panel or anything, but what I don't want to happen is sort of things to get politicized to the point whereas the very thing that a lot of people in this room are intimidated by, as far as like people outside this community come and invest in this community and everything, is the very thing that we create to bury ourselves for this very thing to happen to ourselves. And I think that's just inappropriate, and I think it's very short-sighted, and I think that we should get off of that. Because the reason why I'm here is not because of anybody else per se, it's because I love East Cleveland, and I have stake here, I have a family here, and so I want this city to move forward just like everybody else. And so like, if everybody in the room could really think about, okay, it's not about, you know, saying this person is a bad person and everything. I've been called all sorts of things about the things that I've done, but I guarantee you that I've been working just as hard as if not harder than the next person to move the city forward, that kind of thing. But it's not about pointing at each other and actually expecting or suspecting the worst out of everything that comes along. It's about really truly coming together in solidarity in this community to move the city forward, and that's what this is about. And so I just wanted to get that out there because I felt that it needed to be said. I see a hand over there.
right, let me say, these proceedings, so you know, these proceedings, public comment should not influence your decision. Public comment should be after you made a decision. You are the public. You are residents in this community, which is by the ordinance says that you make your recommendation. You make that recommendation by the facts that are presented to you, not by the comment of people who are not a part of this committee. You're charged to do that. You're supposed to look at the application. You're supposed to look at the applicant. The rules that govern your recommendations are clear. Does the applicant, does he fit within the guidelines of the ordinance for your recommendation to move forward? Period. No one can come in here after that and should influence your decision. You look at the facts that are before you, not the comments that are made before you make a decision. Public comment is at the end of the meeting, not during the meeting, so that it influences your decision. If in fact someone wants to apply for a piece of property that is coming before this committee, they have to do so at the end of the entire proceeding. If you're recommending that it should not go forward, then that's the end of the proceeding. If you're recommending that the sale of this property goes to any applicant, then it goes to Contracts and Property Committee. And then if Contracts and Property deems it worthy for council support, then the chair of that committee will move it to council. And if council in the majority determines that that property be sold to the applicant, then it gets sold to the applicant. If it does not make it out of the committee, then that's the end of the proceeding. Then someone can apply. If it makes it all the way to the full body of the committee and they vote it down, then that is the end of the proceedings. Then someone else can apply for that property. There is no applications during the process. This particular process, we will not accept any applications, make any recommendations to NAC to review any applications. So, this proceeding is very specific. It is not emotional.
Thank you,
It
Judge.
is not any of that. It is looking at the facts. Does the party fall within the guidelines? And if the party falls within the guidelines, then they have the economic means to do what they say they're going to do. And they have demonstrable capabilities, then you make your recommendation off of that, not by the influence of any person sitting in here during public comment. You make your decision, then public comment should be held. That is how these proceedings should go.
My grandmother would say, Lord have mercy on me. That's a mess.
Hold up. We gotta have some order in here. Does anybody else with the commission, the committee, do you guys have any comments at all?
Well, I would move that we go and make a decision on this, and anything come after that, we will follow the chief's recommendation, because that is the procedure. Take the vote, then discuss it with the comments, because that's outside.
Take the hell the public's going to bring to you, too.
Wait a minute. If you have a comment, just raise your hand and we'll address you, okay? Do you have a comment?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You guys know that the East Cleveland Library is one of our most valuable assets going. And we've given away land to Salvation Army. We give it away to the Boys Club. And doing what you're about to do is going to, as they said, they're going to unleash the Kraken as far as the public coming at you. That's all.
Is there a motion?
There's a gentleman behind you. There's two people behind you.
Go ahead, I'll say.
Okay, as the gentleman stated, the rules are clear. And if they are clear, as far as even with my easement on my deed and title, is the property next door. And if we are not allowed to speak or make comments, then what was the purpose of inviting us?
You can make comments. You say you can make comments.
Yes, you definitely can make comments. That is not what I said. I
Okay,
said,
well, my point being, if the rules are clear, if the rules are clear, as far as
Proceedings.
the land next door, the proceedings, and the adjacent properties, that's all I'm asking for is that consideration. Only on by the rules.
I have a few comments. Firstly, if this board needs all the information, for instance, I had no idea that he had an easement on the property as well. Second, I agree the insanity must stop. This is going some places I didn't think it was going to go. For two young African American males, I don't mind sitting down with you. And let's see if we can't come to a meeting of minds about this. We don't have to go crazy over this. We don't have to be battling all over the place. We can sit down and talk. Okay? I just want to make that, and I'll give you my cards afterwards, and let's do that. The insanity has to stop. We don't need to fight over what is right. If we are for the good of East Cleveland and the residents of East Cleveland, we can sit down and talk. I have one other final comment. You mentioned some other people on the library board who had some other thoughts on that. They haven't sat down with me, and I'm the president. Previous. Okay, well, they're gone. This is new board. And we're trying to do the very best for the library and its constituents and for East Cleveland.
there's just one more point that I'd like to make clear. That this committee only make recommendations. That recommendation comes back to the community development director. The community development director make a recommendation to city council in the form of legislation prepared by city council, by the law director. Then it goes directly to contracts and properties committee, which is chaired by Councilman Baker. Councilman Baker then sits down with his committee to determine whether or not it is worthy to move to the full body.
Can we go before his committee?
You can definitely come before this committee.
Okay.
Council makes the final decision on the disposition of any public property. It is never made by this committee or the administration, but it goes to Councilman Baker's committee first. And if he and his committee deems it worthy to go before the full body, that's a decision that they make, unfettered by the administration. And then it still has to get majority vote at the actual council meeting before it becomes law and before the sale is final. So this is simply a recommendation procedure to move it to city council, where council has the legal right to determine the disposition of any real property owned by the city.
I have a headache.
Since there is comments now
I'm behind you.
and education informants, I just want to get you back to the beginning. Every property in the state of Ohio is public record. From the beginning of acquisition to the point of foreclosure, to a tax delinquency, or the banks, or whatever. So we all have the opportunity, and more so today than any other time, go to the computer and pull up every property in this county. And it will tell you the status. It will tell you where you're at from a foreclosure standpoint, if the tax is outstanding. And you can track it. If it's any particular property you want, you can track it all the way down to the current day. And all of these properties have been out here 10, 15 years. It sits around me and everyone around here. And it's a shame at this particular time that it seemed like this was a first. Everyone should have known at some point in time, not even before you came here, somebody should have been on your board as a dog watcher for anything in the interest of the library or anything. But what I'm getting at, this is nothing secret. The only thing that's secret is we're not educated about the process, like tax lien certificates. All this stuff around us that's causing chaos, and the average person don't even know what a certificate is. I don't want to embarrass you, but that is where we are today. That's why we got all this stuff out here laying. And we're talking about things where we all should be moving forward and acquiring everything you can and clean it up. And once you clean it up, you got something marketable, then sell it. But in the meantime, when we're going to talk about somebody cleaning your backyard, who wants to buy it? Now, for you, whatever the way it goes, you can still at least apply for an easement. Or you can go back to the person if they happen to buy it in city council settlement, try to buy it back. I mean, there's always negotiating.
I have these.
Well, I'm just saying, what I'm getting at is these things are not complicated. We make them complicated. It's just a matter of moving the city forward. And after a while, everybody walk away and nobody do nothing. And this is where we are today. All the people that are gone, we're here trying to make something out of nothing, and we still spinning our wheels on conversation. And we have no power. Only thing we're here is unemployed, no income, coming out of the of the meeting to discuss and getting prepared to move to the next level, to move to the next level, so council can make the final decision. That's all we're here for. No influence one whatsoever. You can't influence one whether we have no power.
And just may I also say, council does not have to take the recommendation of this committee.
Nobody.
Nor does it have to take the recommendation of the administration. It is their decision fully about the disposition of any property in this city. From this table to a parcel. We just make a recommendation here.
All right, so we're just gonna move on. Is there? I guess the way I'm feeling about it, the only thing that I see that we should probably actually investigate, because it seems like this man right here had an application in already, and I want to investigate to see if that application was processed or would it just stay stagnant. But I think that we should move on the rest of the properties. So if somebody has a motion from the floor to do that.
I move that we go ahead and make a recommendation with the exception of investigating to further.
1724.
I second.
Any discussion? Call for the vote.
Well, we have Travell Hart,
Yeah.
Lionel Lewis,
Yes.
Hank Smith,
Yeah.
and Jim Pope.
Yes.
The meeting is adjourned. It's approximately 10:27.
Before we get out of here,
Wait a minute, we just